Okay, folks, my name is David Elliott, and I'm from Redburn Solutions in the UK. I'm going to be speaking mostly in English, and I'll try and be very slow when I speak so that the translators and others they've been doing a great job for us when folk are being speaking in Czech, so thanks for that. When I say we're from the UK, that's true for the next 2 weeks, because we may well leave Europe. And people have been asking me throughout the conference, how will you vote? Well, Zanetta tells me that Ostrava is the best place in Europe. And so in order to get to Ostrava, you actually have to be in Europe. So I am voting Remain so that we stay in Europe. So just to let you know, we're going to stay in Europe. It could be worse. Donald Trump could be president. How bad can it get? It can get very bad. So here we go. And I was going to wait for some folk to come from next door. But as this is a penultimate talk, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this with words and with colours, but also with music. I was trying to incorporate some beach volleyball, because I know that many of you love beach volleyball, and it's DAP Services kind of key sport. But unfortunately, the last time I played beach volleyball, I ripped my shorts. And so the folks here know that don't invite me into beach volleyball. So here we go. So it all started, as Jerry told you this morning, with a dream. And that dream, 10 years ago, has transformed into this conference here today. And so, while I say that we have a dream, and we're going to remain in the European Union as part of the UK, really, I'm Irish. In order to prove that, you can buy me a drink tonight in the bar, just to prove that I'm Irish. My business partner, Hugh Wiseman, is also here. And he's also Irish, sort of. He's from a place called Cullibackie. And you know when Jerry was talking about translating the whole system into Tadreen, I think you called it, all the words? Cullibackie has its own language. And often I provide translation services for Hugh from his English to proper English. So we'll be doing that on the way through as well. Thank you, interpreters. So we've been using this technique to look at schools. And we've been doing it to make it really, really easy. And we've been using the red, amber, and green traffic light system. And that's what we've been doing in terms of making it simple for schools to look at their own results. So I'm going to do this through words and colours and music. Okay, it's all about feelings. It's all about relationships. It's all about looking at those relationships and feelings by class and by subject and by your way of learning. What is the interplay of relationships between senior staff and teachers and assistants and students? It's about being hooked on a feeling. It's about being connected with people and looking at those relationships. It's about looking at the behavioural risks. What risks are in that school? How can they be measured? Are they well understood? And are they well managed? Those are the questions. And so Bright Light On, which is our kind of spin on the colour association method. So it's another cup of wine later on tonight. That's all good. This is your school. There are high mountains, great classes. There are low valleys, terrible classes. If you've been working in school, you know that. So this class 4A, these are 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds. They're pretty much a disaster. They are the low valley in your school. They struggle with physics across the whole school. And we see that pedagogy for history is working well. And you've got to get a certain number of students to turn up. The point is, In every school, there's highs and there's lows. So no matter how good it is, some classes always feel it always rains on them. You know, oh, it's terrible, the world is depressing, it's grey. And I guess Class 4A, these 15-year-olds are in that category. So while history is working well, English isn't working well, geography is not working well. And so what we say is the history teacher and the geography teacher and the English teacher should talk to each other. There's a novel approach. And look at how well they can improve the kind of the interaction in their particular school. The physics, chemistry and art teachers could ask the history teacher, how do they teach Class 4A? How does that work for you? So that it no longer rains on this particular class. Okay, so who's that singing? Anybody know? Thank you, that's very sad that you know that, by the way. I'm just going to say that's very, very sad that you actually know that. So classes, schools spin around. They sit and go, oh, all this stuff's happening. What should we do first? And so this particular analysis looks at 6 key factors. This school is the average in Europe. That's quite interesting to know, isn't it? That your school is around the average in Europe. But the relationships in this school are good. So, yeah, that's something to be celebrated. The behavioural risks, however, are quite high. Maybe we ought to deal with that. And then you look at 6 key factors influencing teaching and learning. You look at relationships in terms of the various aspects with head teachers, etc. And you also look at 6 key factors managing behaviours. So rather than spinning around, rather than looking at what are we going to do first, you look at the kind of top things that you can engage with so that you can engage with the whole school. And so we have here, the average is calculated in the documentation. There is behavioural risks, there are a few jobs available, so we need to get the head teachers involved, and we need to look at the school environment to see it's have a large effect on the effectiveness. So these are the top 4 keywords influencing physics in Class 8A. Physics is generally poor across the school, but you can see things that do engage with them. So these physics, kind of looking at physics across the school, the pedagogy for physics is really poor. So they are really poor and they need to engage. We look at keywords that they can use, and we look at keywords that can be targeted to change physics. So this school, in terms of pretending, as Freddie Mercury says, physics is pretending within this school, and so we need to address it. So this is Class 1A. Class 1A is superb. Class 1A is your dream class. You can see all the things are green. They don't take physics, chemistry, or art. And you see that the relationships with the head teacher, the form teacher, and between classmates is good in this particular class. We see that the interplay of relationships inside the class contribute to the emergence of skills. So it's a really, really good class to teach. This is the class that you want to teach a last thing on a Friday. So this particular class is beautiful, as Christina Aguilera sings. And this class is the one where you maybe manage all your other classes against. This is your best comparator. These are 12-year-olds, so maybe they're easy to manage. But this is a very, very beautiful class. This is Class 4A. This class doesn't impress me much. It's not Brad Pitt, and it's not a rocket scientist. This class seems to be in conflict with most of the school. You can see here They don't interact well with English, maths, geography, physics, chemistry, or art. They don't interact well with anything. This is my 15 to 16-year-old class. I need to focus in this class. So they think they're Brad Pitt. My 16-year-old often wonders how I manage to tie my shoelaces. They think that I'm so stupid that I can't tie my shoelaces by myself. But Mark Twain used to say, when I was 16, my dad knew nothing. But by the time I was 21, he had come on a lot. And so this particular group of 16-year-olds don't interact well with anything in the class. And you can see here they don't have good relationships, not with the head teacher, not with the form teacher, not with anything. They are regular know-it-alls. And so they don't engage well in terms of their relationships. So if you're investing in this school, if you know where you're going with this particular school, you're going to invest in these 15 and 16-year-olds. They think there's something special. So this is class 4A again, in terms of what they do. This particular piece, does anyone know that? Sir, do you know that music? Who is that? Very good. So this is what we call War Valley. This class is at war with the teachers, the head teacher, with themselves, with the subjects. This is a class at war, and that's how they view themselves. So they crave excitement. They're in a high state of alert. This is what they want to do. These are the guys that you don't want to teach. These are the guys that you don't want to have on a Friday afternoon. These are the people you sort of think, oh my goodness, this isn't good. This is not what I want to have about me. But this is what the test shows up. This is War Valley. So these are the kind of key things in terms of dealing with your school. So you've all seen the words and colours. I have a little different take on the words and colours. So this particular piece talks about the students very quickly getting in and doing the maths, 1, 2, and 3. It talks about the words we use. For example, I am punished. And so the sophisticated algorithms at the back end, we know do all the work. But all the results are provided to the head teacher. And if you know this piece of music, do you know what it's called? Anybody? No? It's Bat Out of Hell. So like a bat out of hell, 15 minutes it takes to do this particular test, as you know. Yeah, get it now, I know. So it takes 15 minutes for this head teacher to get the results, so they can address the pieces in their school that they need to address. So this is the money bit. We were just talking over lunch and saying, it's all great. Problem is, with our schools, with many schools, it's a money issue. And it's very hard to find the funds to do something like this if they struggle where they maybe have to let a teacher go. So we've seen a slow growth in the UK. People are kind of amazed at the results. They're amazed at what they can do. But it's actually very difficult to get the funds to enable them to move this forward. So it's a rich man's world. So it's a wonderful world. We've come a long way in 10 years. We've been working with DAP Services for 4 years now. Flying in and flying out. They have been to see us in the UK. We have been to see them here in Ostrava. However, it is the first time I've been to Czechia, I have to say. So well done in changing the name. So I want to say a big thank you to the DAP team. Obviously to Jerry, and to Daniel, and to Robert, and the kind of three key guys who we worked with. And it's been wonderful, wonderful working with them. But to be really honest, it had been really boring working with them if it hadn't been for Zanetta to keep us all entertained. and for people like Marquetta to keep us all in order, and people like Monica and Lenka, who has texted us about more times than I wish to remember, and Bodana, who has done all the psychology work with us. So I'd love to thank, over the last 4 years, the DAP team who worked very, very closely with us. We have been involved very much with the Alzheimer's project and with the Entrepreneur project that Marek is going to talk about later on. I'd also like to thank Eugenia. I'm not sure if her husband is here today or in the room, who no longer works with DAP. And finally, I'd like to thank David Peshik, who originally introduced us to DAP 4 years ago when they first came to Belfast, where we are. So what I'd like to say in closing is, thank you very much for inviting us. I hope you enjoyed it. It's a wonderful world. Thank you.